For many Black people, it's guilty until proven innocent. A new Yahoo analysis finds that U.S. taxpayers have spent nearly $1 billion to incarcerate Black men and women who were wrongfully convicted. Data from the National Registry of Exonerations finds that Black men make up almost half of innocent defendants who were exonerated since 1989. And here's another sad stat. Not only are Black men overrepresented in the prison system, innocent Black prisoners do more time before exoneration, an average of 10.5 years compared to 8 years for other races. Now, I don't know which fact I find more disturbing, that half of all of those wrongfully convicted are Black men, or that I helped to pay for it. So, Louis, you've been in the system. Where do you stand on this?
Well, first and foremost, this is not breaking news to me, and I don't know why it's breaking news on Yahoo. And in all actuality, that statistic is actually wrong. We spend $80 billion annually on incarceration. $1 billion happens to be on incarcerating Black and brown folks. I happen to be one of those individuals, having done nearly 14 years in federal prison, was released, got rearrested for child support arrears that accrued while I was incarcerated. So I matriculated through the system in every way, shape, or form that you can quite possibly imagine. While I was incarcerated, this is what I saw. I saw a wealth of genius. I saw people whose lives were diminished by excessive prosecution and disproportionate sentencing. And it really pissed me off to the degree that I got involved in doing the things that I'm doing as it relates to being a national organizer for Cut 50, working alongside with, people such as Sean King with the Rodney Reed situation, et cetera. This is not surprising to me. Ever since if you follow the thread, going all the way back to the 70s in the Reagan and the Nixon administration, this was an open declarative war on Black folks, right. Black and brown folks. And it just so happened that now we have the introduction of opioids, and when you have people who come from manicured lawns and opulent neighborhoods, and they don't necessarily look like you, sis, right? They on a wider side of the spectrum. Now we have to respond. Now it's a we situation and not us versus them thing.
Well, I think we can all agree that racism is a factor, but is there something else at play here in the system?
I think it all does come back to racism, though. But there's also, the likelihood of going back into the system once you go into the system at a certain age, and I'm sure Louis knows this stat better than I do, it's increased, right? Because if you are putting juveniles in the system at, for higher incarceration rates than you would for like a white kid, adolescent, et cetera. Even looking at Rikers Island, like we're looking to close Rikers Island in New York. We finally have a plan in place that's going to make it happen. Rikers had a longer average stay for a jail meaning someplace that you're supposed to be before you get sentenced. Like, people would do more time in Rikers than they actually got sentenced to prison. And this is time before you've been to trial, before you've actually been declared guilty, before you've actually, been sentenced. You're in Rikers. And sometimes just that time in Rikers changes you. It brings you Khalif Browder, or it brings you out of Rikers. The things that you have to do to survive in Rikers put you back on the street and make you more likely to go back into the system, because the system has changed you because you have to adapt.
Think about this, Marlie. And let me just also add this as well, right? So when you asked about the race component, when you look at the 13th Amendment, we allowed Lincoln as being the president who freed us. But there's a B or C clause somewhere in there, right? It says that, and I'm paraphrasing. It says that slavery is abolished in the United States of America, except, I pause for dramatic effect, except in the instance of incarceration. So fundamentally, it's going to inextricably tie into race. And one of the things that MLK talks about, right, is a threat to injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And as we see in this American legal system, not the criminal justice system, it's the American legal system, it's something by which people such as your brothers, my cousins, your baby daddies, and your mans in them, we feel the brunt of this system that really hammers us.
And it's race, but it's also money, because with the rise of the prison industrial complex, that's what you're looking at. You're basically looking at free to almost no labor. So it benefits them to keep people incarcerated so that they can continue to make profits, so that different companies can continue to have their clothes manufactured, continue to have their calls outsourced. The fires in California, like there are firefighters who are prisoners who are not eligible to be firefighters when they get out of prison because they're federal convicts. You know, so it's like it is a self-perpetuating system, but it benefits everybody except like incarceration is supposed to be about reformation, and it's not anymore.
It ain't never been.
It was supposed to be, but it's not.
Let me call my cousins who got locked up when I was younger. Everybody I know who've been through the system ain't never been reformed.
There's no work of reform and actual like real restitution and rehabilitation in the prison center.
You have been reformed.
Well, I've been reformed because, you know, one of two things. Number one, when I was incarcerated, I realized that education was going to be the passport in order for me to be able to fight the power, right? I tapped into my 1989 Radio Raheem spirit, and I wanted to fight the power. Right. That's number one. The second thing is that I worked on me spiritually, emotionally, mentally, not necessarily as physically, right? Because you can't tell that I did almost 14 years.
The sweater's camouflage.
Yeah, it definitely is. I got some pecs under here. But here's the thing. I realized that those who are closest to the problem are also closest to the solution, but like you said, furthest from resources and power. So when you think about, you know, how I was reformed, I shouldn't be the exception. You have many people who are incarcerated who, if given the opportunity to earn their master's degree in clinical counseling like the way that I was able to, that they would have definitely capitalized off that opportunity.
Well, hopefully there's a benefit to this article. Like, even though you said it's old news to you, when I read this, it was like something new that I found out. And so hopefully from that, now that there's more awareness around this issue, something can be done, because it's ridiculous.
Oh, we fighting the power for sure.
Yes. Well, it seems like this is a deep-rooted systemic problem. I can only hope that these embarrassing statistics move decision makers in our justice system to take action. You just watched a clip from the show that covers the culture like no other. For every episode, I assemble a panel of thinkers, activists, celebs, and outspoken experts to give us their unfiltered opinions on the topics that matter to Black America. This is elevated, intelligent, and uncensored discussion, representing every perspective. The conversations we have when we're the only ones in the room. No topic is off limits. We're not afraid to go there, and we do it all live, 5 days a week. Join me here every weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media at twitter.com/Marlie Show. It's The Marlie Show. There's nothing else like it.